Alright guys, I'm going to skip the intro to this video because the college football rankings just came out, their first official rankings, and I'm just reacting to it, and I really don't agree with a lot of the stuff that they had in these rankings, and honestly, I'm going to get right to it. It's crazy how biased this committee is and how they have teams ranked where they do, even undefeated or 1 loss, 2 loss, or even a 3 loss. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to show you guys the rankings on screen and we're going to talk about it. Alright guys, so here are the rankings. They have Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Michigan State 3, Oregon 4, Ohio State 5, Cincinnati at 6, Michigan 7, Oklahoma at 8, Wake Forest 9, Notre Dame 10. Now for the top 10, I agree with Georgia. Obviously, that's just an easy one. Alabama 2, I do not agree with. They are not the second best team in the country. They played down to Florida. They lost to Texas A&M, and they did not look good for the first 3 quarters against Tennessee. They are not the second best team in the country. I don't care what anyone says. This committee is already showing its SEC bias, and I'll get to that later in the video. They have Michigan State 3. Now, I thought Michigan State would be 3 or 4. So that doesn't surprise me at all. There's nothing wrong with where they're at. And then they have Oregon at 4. I don't really disagree with Oregon being at 4, but I just don't think they're better than Ohio State right now. They beat Ohio State when they were still like brand new, and Ohio State's got 22 freshmen. Like, it's going to be tough for them to beat a team that's experienced like Oregon, being as new as they were, and they've come a long way, and I still think that they would beat Oregon again if they played. But they do have Oregon ahead of Ohio State. It's not too much of an issue, but I just don't think they're better. But the head-to-head is going to put them there. Cincinnati at 6. I don't know how I feel about that. Cincinnati's they're a good team, but I thought that they would deserve to be 4, and Oregon 5, Ohio State 6. Something like that. I don't agree with them being at 6. Michigan should not be 7. They blew that game to Michigan State. They did lead that entire game, but they blew it. And you can't just keep them there because they folded like that. They should be at least behind Oklahoma and maybe even Wake Forest. But I mean, I don't know, man. After that, we have Oklahoma at 8, which I was really shocked. I thought Oklahoma was going to be up further, but I guess that finally came to bite Oklahoma, playing down to their opponents, almost losing to like every team that they play other than TCU and Texas Tech. But Texas Tech Texas Tech doesn't have a defense, so I don't know what to say about that. But moving on, we have Wake Forest at 9. Now I kind of believe like Wake Forest at 9. I had them at 9 in my poll, so I do believe that's the right spot. Notre Dame 10, that seems right to me as well. Oklahoma State at 11, Baylor 12. I think both of those are correct. Auburn at 13. I'm not sure if I would put Auburn ahead of Texas A&M, but I could see why they did it. And then BYU being at 15, I don't agree with at all. They have 2 losses. They should at least be back around the 19-20 area. They should not be up at 15. Now, Ole Miss at 16, I second that. That's a good place for them after their loss to Auburn. And then this one shocked me. And I don't know if I could forget the committee for this, but they have Mississippi State at 17 with 3 losses, and that is unexcusable. That is unexcusable. That is awful. And I cannot believe that they're going to get away with putting them that far up with 3 losses. I get it. They look good. Their quarterback looked really good their last game, and they play very well against other teams. But we're talking about a team that almost lost to Louisiana Tech, lost to Memphis, lost to LSU, got destroyed by Alabama, did beat Texas A&M, beat Vanderbilt, and did beat Kentucky last week and looked really good. But that is not enough to put them where they're at right now. So that's just a travesty. I cannot believe that they put them there. And right behind them, they put Kentucky at 18. I believe Kentucky should be ranked 18th. They're a decent team, and that's kind of where I had them in my polls. And then after that, we have North Carolina State. North Carolina State, they're a surprising team. I think they're pretty good, but would I put them at 19? I probably wouldn't. I would probably put them in the 20s as well. Minnesota. This is another one that surprised me. Why is Minnesota up at the 20th spot? Like, I understand that they're 6-2 and they've won their last 4 games, but they lost to Bowling Green 14-10, and they almost lost to half the teams that they played. Even Purdue and Nebraska, they almost lost to, but they're better. Those 2 teams are better. And they did beat Maryland by 16 and Northwestern by a lot, but Northwestern isn't that good this year. I just wouldn't put them there. I would put them probably at the 24, 23 spot if I was going to rank them. I just think that's a little bit too high for them. And then after that, we have Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin's 5-3, and I don't know, this committee likes these 5-3 teams. I know that they looked really good against Iowa, but Iowa, we have realized, is not that good at all. Like, their offense is so bad, and Wisconsin's offense also is so bad, but their defense is probably top 5 in the country, maybe even top 3. Iowa's isn't. And I'm surprised they have Iowa where they're at with 2 losses, to be honest. They should, how this committee is doing this, Iowa probably shouldn't even be ranked right now. And that's just, it's sad because of how good that team was. And then after that, we have Fresno State. Fresno State, I had them at 23, so I think that's the proper place for them. San Diego State, I don't think San Diego State's good at all, so I wouldn't have them ranked. And then Pittsburgh being 25, I agree with. I would replace San Diego State with Houston. They just beat SMU. Houston deserves to be ranked. And I would also try to squeeze in Penn State in this, because Penn State, I think, is better than a lot of these teams. They're better than probably half of the teams in here, and they deserve to be in there. And they're 5-3 as well. So yeah, and then I kind of want to harp back to the whole Georgia-Alabama thing just for a second. I think the only reason that they put Alabama at number 2 is not because they think they're the second best team in the country. They want the SEC championship game to be the number 1 best team against the number 2 ranked team. And that's what gets views. That's what's going to make them more money. And they're going to keep Alabama there just for that. You know, it is what it is. I think Georgia's going to win that game anyway, and Alabama will be out. If they try to keep Alabama in the top 4 after losing to Georgia, I might just stop covering college football in general, because this is just ridiculous at this point. They have way too much of a bias towards the SEC, which is kind of how it is every year. The SEC always has a bias, like every single year. And trust me, I understand. They have a lot of great teams and whatnot, but you could blatantly see the bias, especially for like Alabama, Georgia, and whatnot. But yeah, that's my video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Let me know what your college football playoff rankings, like top 4, is compared to what the committee did. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.